When you hear the title CEO, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably the corner office, right? The big salary, all the power. It's a role we definitely tend to glamorize. But behind that shiny title, there's a whole other reality. So today, we're pulling back the curtain to find out what it really takes to master the job of a chief executive officer.
And that brings us right to the heart of it, this one central question. Is being a CEO all about having the ultimate power, or is it about shouldering the ultimate responsibility? That tension right there is what defines the entire job, and we're about to unpack exactly what that means.
You know, nobody just wakes up one day and becomes a CEO. It's a journey, a climb. Most leaders, as you see here, start out as an expert in just one thing. Then they learn to manage a whole department, and then a whole business unit. Each of those steps forces this massive shift in perspective, getting them ready for that final, huge leap to the top.
And what a leap it is. I mean, on one side of the coin, you can't deny the perks. We're talking a great salary, a ton of prestige, real authority. But on the other side, whoa, the weight is just immense. You're under this microscope of intense scrutiny, dealing with constant demands, and carrying the incredible pressure of knowing the company's survival basically rests on your shoulders.
So if you strip away all the meetings, the titles, the perks, and the pressure, what's left? It's this one thing: decision-making, the relentless need to make these critical, high-stakes calls, usually with incomplete information. Every single major choice you make is really a bet on the company's future.
So to make those incredibly tough calls day in and day out, a CEO needs a really solid foundational toolkit. We're going to dive into the 5 essential skills that every great leader needs to build and, just as importantly, keep sharpening to stay on top of their game.
Yep, that's right. Just 5. 5 core essentials that really form the bedrock of great leadership. So let's get into it. What's the first one?
It all starts right here. Self-awareness. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it has these huge implications. The idea is, before you can even think about leading thousands of people, you have to be able to lead yourself. And that always, always begins with taking a good, honest look in the mirror. And this isn't just about knowing what you're good at. It means having a brutally honest understanding of your strengths, but also acknowledging your blind spots, the things you just don't see. And then, being truly committed to working on your own development. Because if you don't, a leader's personal weaknesses can very quickly become the entire company's weaknesses. Okay, so once you start to get a handle on yourself, the very next step is to deeply understand the organization you're leading. This is what we call organizational awareness, being able to see the whole company as one big, interconnected system. And this is so much more than a checklist. These things are all deeply connected. For example, think about it. Your company's culture, that directly impacts its capabilities, what your teams can and can't do well. And knowing those capabilities is absolutely crucial when you're looking at where your competitors are and what your customers really, truly need. Seeing that whole picture is how a CEO figures out what the right priorities are. All right, the third essential means looking outside the company walls. It's not enough to just know your own organization inside and out. You have to understand the world that it's operating in. This is all about awareness of the external business environment. This means you're constantly scanning the horizon, looking for global trends, for shifts in technology, for big economic changes. A CEO has to juggle the short-term view, like what's happening this quarter, with a much longer-term perspective, trying to see where the world is headed in the next 5 or even 10 years. Essential number 4 is a big one, a really big one. Because a CEO never, ever leads alone. A huge part of the job, maybe one of the most important, is building and nurturing a powerful leadership team to lead with. And this right here shows you exactly what that team should look like. It is not about surrounding yourself with a bunch of yes men who just agree with you. No way. It's about building a team that actually fosters open, honest, and sometimes tough debate. That's how you avoid groupthink and ultimately make way better, more solid decisions together. All right, the 5th and final essential in our toolkit takes that idea of leadership and spreads it beyond the executive suite. It's about creating a culture of performance that reaches every corner of the company, from the very top right down to the front lines. So you're creating an environment where a performance-driven mindset is just the norm. But, and this is a really big but, it's also a place where the leadership truly has an ear to the ground. A great CEO makes sure that every single employee feels supported and has what they need to do their best work. So the CEO has this powerful toolkit of 5 essentials. But here's the catch. Mastering those skills, that's only half the job, because they have to be used on a constantly shifting battlefield, one that's just filled with distractions that can pull even the very best leaders off course. And this slide, wow, it lays out that battlefield perfectly. You can see the pressure is coming from everywhere. You've got faulty systems inside the company, maybe a disengaged workforce, a leadership team that's not on the same page, a board that isn't fully committed, and of course, massive disruptions coming from the market itself. Any one of these can completely derail your strategy. And this brings us right to the heart of the matter. The real job of a CEO isn't just mastering the toolkit or just surviving the battlefield. It is the constant, difficult, and delicate balancing act between the two. And this slide basically visualizes the entire formula for success. You see, a great CEO uses their internal toolkit, that self-awareness, that organizational knowledge, that strong team, as a weapon and a shield to manage the constant pressures from the battlefield. Each essential skill is literally a direct countermeasure to one of those big distractions. You know, the source material we're drawing from puts it perfectly with this quote. Steering the business isn't about having a map to some calm, predictable sea. It's all about understanding your ship, your toolkit, so you can navigate the storms that are absolutely going to come. So the crucial point is this, and it brings us right back to that question we asked at the very beginning. Success as a CEO, it isn't ultimately defined by the power you hold in your hands. It's defined by your ability to navigate the immense, nonstop pressure of the role. Which leaves us with one final thought for you. Whether you're a CEO today or you're aspiring to lead in any capacity, leadership is always this balancing act. So take a second to think about your own role. What does leadership demand from you right now? Is it the internal mastery of your skills, or is it the external management of your own personal battlefield? Thanks for joining me.